one. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Oh my god, I totally screwed that up. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm on fire, bro. What an amazing weekend with Magic Round and that. But welcome back to Down Unders, guys. Obviously, your weekly rugby league recap from the week before and all the biggest news around. But obviously, we do that with my best mate, Brody. How you doing, Brody? How you been, brother?
Good, brother. That wasn't a very magical start.
No, the recovery wasn't any better either, bro. So we're just going to roll with it, guys. It is a live stream, guys. As you guys all know, jump in the chat. Let us know any questions and stuff you have during the show. We're going to be touching on all things of the Magic Round rounds in general, what we loved about it and that. We're going to be touching on our State of Origin squad predictions because we said last week that we're going to be predicting the squads of both sides. A lot of chat around that too coming up in the future. And also we're going to be previewing the women's league, well, women's in league rounds coming up this weekend, guys. So all your mothers out there, Mother's Day is coming up on the Sunday. I hope you guys are buying beautiful presents for your mothers and that out there. But women in the league, bro, obviously women are massive in our lives. You know, you got a beautiful mother, you got a beautiful missus, you got, you know, a whole family, like, you know, that made the person that you are today. You know, what sort of sacrifices do you reckon your mum and that did for you, obviously growing up playing footy and stuff, bro?
Oh, bro, taking me to every single game. Like even until like last year, mum and dad would still be at the game. So yeah, plenty of sacrifices, brother. You know, both worked full time. Yeah, what more could you ask for, bro? Keeps you humble, keeps you in touch with your family. It's just really good. But how about yourself there, brother?
Yeah, in the same boat, bro. Like, you know, for the times that I did get to play footy, you know, mum and dad tried their best to get out there. And obviously my mum, she's been through some health conditions, like issues for a little while, and she's always fought through and, you know, tried to get out there. I used to play tennis with her when I was growing up and soccer and stuff with mum and dad. And they were a massive part of, like, you know, me loving sport in general too. So massive shout out to them, but also, you know, to the beautiful, you know, women in our lives as well. You know, Caitlin, I know, you know, your fiance, brother, you know, she does a ton for you too in that area. She's picked up the love for footy at the moment. She's really trying to get into your interests as well. You know, just touch on that just a tad as well too, bro.
Yeah, even though it's the Broncos, I'll take it. A win's a win. A win's a win.
A win's a win. But no, obviously, yeah, she's she absolutely
good, brother.
She's jumping in. She's jumping in. Shout out to Tans as well. Josh, what's happening? What's happening? What's up? Samoan Metalhead as well. And Tahi, bro. Welcome in the chat. But yeah, guys, obviously a massive weekend of Magic Round. Me and Brody went down our annual Magic Round meetup. Which obviously was an incredibly fun time, bro. Your thoughts overall on the weekend? Any big stories and stuff? You know, obviously we all jetted down there. I had to scoot off for that content creators thing, guys, and for everyone that came down to that too, guys, I really do appreciate you guys, and you know, I hope you guys enjoyed the day there. But your thoughts on Magic Round in general, bro, and any real stories you want to put out there to the boys?
Oh, mate, I can't remember a lot of the stories, but no, what I mean, I wasn't drunk or anything. Just I can't remember too much crazy that happened for a change. But no, just an absolutely outstanding atmosphere. You know, there's a lot of talks of trying to get it to Melbourne if you want to expand the game and stuff like that. But just let Brisbane have this one thing. Like we don't have the grand finals in the NRL, AFL, anything like that. Just let us please have Magic Round. It's the best ground for it. It's the best city for it. The weather's still nice this time of the year. I know it rained a little bit over the weekend, don't get me wrong, but the atmosphere that stadium in Caxton Street brings is absolutely outstanding. And you know, they only telling you what's in the ground of 50,000. They're not talking about the other probably 15 to 20,000 just chilling in Caxton Street somewhere. Like people were coming from where was that dude? He was from Ballina, and
yep.
Just to go to the Caxton for the 3 days. He didn't go to the games. He just went to Caxton just to be a part of it. Like, that's unreal. Like, you wouldn't catch me going to Sydney just to chill in the street before Magic Round. Like, that's how highly Brisbane need to keep Magic Round.
Yeah, and like, you know, I'm happy to hear that we aren't the only ones with rosy-coloured glasses in this sort of area just because we live in Brisbane. But, you know, talking with Sammy Hewitt last night on Wise Up TV, guys, obviously a lot of these people in the chat are from Wise Up TV. But if anyone, you know, wants to see any of my Warriors content, jump over to Wise Up TV. Me and Levon do great stuff there. But Sammy Hewitt was on with me last night, and I posed the question to him because, as I said to you at lunch today at work, I was like, when I'm hearing this chat about if Magic Round is moving, which always seems to happen after Magic Round. I don't really understand why it continues to happen, but it's always a discussion overall. And I heard Perth, I heard Melbourne, and I never really heard anything about New Zealand as well. And I just wanted to get his sort of thoughts on it from that sort of angle, thinking that he was going to be pro New Zealand and be like, hey, just bring it over, bring it over. But like the first thing he said is like, I wouldn't move it like from anywhere else other than Brisbane to what it is. Like it's a festival atmosphere. The way the Caxton Street, you know, builds into Suncorp, and the outside of Suncorp's got the full like festival art, like, you know, they got stages set. It's just like, it's in the perfect place right now for football. You get 50,000 per game usually. I think over the whole weekend we got 150,000 people through the gate. So like incredible weekend. And as you said, there was people that didn't even roll up to get into the gates. There's people, as you said, the guy from Ballina that just sat at Caxton and watched it on the big screen. So that's why I think it's perfect for Brisbane and Magic Round. Like, you know, obviously the only thing that kind of sucked over the weekend was the rain, but I feel like that adds a little bit as well. Like we can have a discussion of like how cold and how wet it was and we persevered. But I think that it's perfect where it is, bro, and it shouldn't move anywhere.
100%, brother, especially when you got the Wars taking over Suncorp, eh?
Bro, how crazy is that, man? Like, you know, massive victory over the weekend, 30-26 over the Cowboys. And that first half performance was incredible. But just the fan base, bro, like, you know of it, like, you know, us going to Magic Round multiple times. Whenever I walk around with the Warriors jersey, there's like, I'm getting hugs, I'm getting like, you know, high fives, I'm getting up the wires. Like it's similar vibe to what you guys are getting now with the dogs at the moment, with like your doggies fans out there. You get the doggies, let's go, like all that sort of stuff, right? And that's what makes Magic Round special. And I felt like we took over Magic Round over the weekend. The Warriors fans out there were in force.
100%. Your atmosphere and energy that the Wild supporters bring is unmatched. And it wasn't like, and we watched it on the Sunday as well. Like you didn't see doggies just in the doggies section. You see them scattered throughout Suncorp, just like the Wilds. You didn't see them just in the Wild section. They were scattered all through Suncorp. Everywhere you looked, it was either a Wilds jersey, doggies jersey. There was heaps of jerseys, don't get me wrong, but it just seemed like, I don't know, maybe we're biased, but it just seems like they were everywhere. And like you said, like, they're the ones to talk to you and see other supporters in the same jersey as family. You don't see that with other teams, but we could be just biased. But I'm telling you, it definitely happens.
Oh, bro, and it's like it's incredible. Like the way the game kind of played out, and it's the roller coaster of New Zealand Warriors. You know, we're having a lot better season of consistency week in, week out, but we still end up finding ourselves in really close tussles, and that like was a little bit of a heart attack sort of game for us because the Cowboys are coming home like strong, bro. Their shape that they threw, we'll definitely talk about that a little bit more in our like, you know, review of certain games that are around and stuff like that. But I thought that like just being with the fan base in that moment and the rise of everyone when we got it done and just how we celebrated the win. We saw Shawnee J with that whole team took photo in front of us. Everyone was going absolutely mental. Sam Healy's debut in that game where he almost had the try assist like fully seal the game. Like a lot of massive moments that we just rode home, and it was such a cool little atmosphere, and you're there next to me. And a shout out to Luke, our Cowboys fan out there, and that too. But the Warriors fans weren't too hard on him at all, but he was like up for some moments and he was down for some moments. It was such a cool vibe, bro. I love it every year.
He didn't put himself out there like that other Cowboys supporter in the Wild section, so he didn't cop it too much. But that other poor guy...
Shout out to that man getting holed up by two Warriors fans on Caxton Street at the end of the night because he's sculled all these beers, coming to like the mad tradition of everyone getting sculled beers. But talking about Magic Round 2, bro, your game of the round over the weekend, was there a big moment or a big game that you were kind of like, this was it? Like, you know, we just talk about a little bit of the Warriors game, but was there another game out there that you're like, all right, this was the vibe was on, or you notice over the TV, you're like, yeah, this is game of the round sort of thing?
I didn't get to watch much of the Melbourne Raiders game, but that seemed to be like a game that went down to the wire, and it seemed like the it game, just kind of like we predicted. Whereas the other games was kind of like they were good, don't get me wrong, especially the Saturday ones in the Dragons, Tigers, you guys, Cowboys, where it was like one half one way, the other half the other way, but an all-round close performance where it was like anybody's to the end was probably that Storm Raiders game. Whereas the rest, it was kind of like, we predicted these guys were going to win. So, but my standout team for the weekend was probably the Roosters, you know, like the way that they came out, handled their business. You know, they didn't really look ever in danger. They looked very, very good. And then my most disappointing team is the Broncos, which I love to say. So
yeah, we had to catch that one right next to Caitlin out, you know, watching that game. And obviously the Broncos real disappointing. The Roosters, though, touching on that 36-26 against the Dolphins, Robert Toya absolutely toying with the competition out there with the center. He was absolutely incredible. Going 1-on-1 against one of the best centers in the competition, if not, people have him up there for a top 3 center in Herbie Farnworth. He did an amazing job against Herbie. Shout out to him. Victor Radley getting back into the middle, doing his work in that 13 jersey. I thought that he had incredible performance. We'll talk more about these guys later on. Mark Nwanganitawase, bro. Where are you sitting with that man already? Like, early in his career, he's looking the goods to me, like talent-wise, big, strong, fast, offloads. Like, the Roosters have got another one here.
Yeah, bro. Like, he is a talent, that's for sure. He gives me... I can't really say what vibes he gives me, but he's just a freak. He's an athlete. He's good in the air. His running game is good. His tackle game, breaking game is good. His offloads there. Just all around athlete, brother. The size of the man as well. Like, I can't imagine what he would look like live.
He a lot of people obviously put him hand in hand with like early Israel Folau. And he kind of has that sort of vibe to him at the moment. Playing in the center, then going to the wing. Wing does look like his better spot to me, especially, when you get him off that, the kick chase, right? Off the back fence, and he always breaks that first tackle. He looks really strong to handle. But his finishing ability over the weekend, walking the tightrope for that try, like he is just so silky. And for Australian rugby to let go of someone like that, it's just crazy. It kind of shows where rugby league and rugby union is in Australia currently right now.
100%, brother. Like it's nice to see one finally come to us instead of stick to you or go to union like one of our stars. So it's good. It's great having him in the game, and to think that he's only so fresh to the game still and he's already killing it.
Yeah, 100%. Another game I wanted to touch on is, you kind of touched on it just a tad with the games that are around and stuff, but that West Tigers performance 34-28 against the Dragons, bro. As you said, it's just one of those games where the first half did lean towards the Tigers. The Tigers end up pushing out to that lead, at halftime, 26-10, very similar to the Warriors, how we did in the first half, and the Dragons fighting home. And poor, we'll talk about it a little bit later on as well, Jaden Sewer's moment in that game, which was definitely a 12-point swing, right? Could have scored a 6-pointer there, didn't get to do. And, Dream Buller, screaming down the opposite end of the field, scoring that try. But the Tigers, bro, they just keep on doing the damn thing at the moment. Galvin back in that jersey. He looks comfortable again. Where are you kind of sitting with them this year? Have you still, what's your thoughts? Are they top 8 sort of material for you just yet, or you still need to see a little bit more during the season?
Yeah, I think you need to just see a bit more. I'm just glad that they're winning a few games, brother. I still don't have them in my 8. I see them sort of, 12th. There's improvement there. They're looking the goods, but I think once they play some of those top teams, giving up 26 points, 28 points is just not going to be good enough. So I don't see other teams letting them score 28 either. You know what I'm saying? So look, I'm not shitting on them. I think it's great that they've come a long way already, but I just think they're going to fall short still this year, finals, and then probably look to build again next year.
And just touching on that, bro, we may as well jump over the ladder. This is the first time we're kind of going to be looking at the ladder all together and sort of thoughts over certain sides here. But your doggy's still sitting at the top of the competition, 7-1, bro. Getting a decent win over the weekend. Wasn't the most impressive win. That first half, definitely, I know that you weren't impressed with that first half, but that second half to get it, Serraldo obviously got the boys in the sheds and be like, hey, get back to our system. We're going to win this game. He's come out firing in that second half and got the job done. But, sitting top of the competition, bro, how are you feeling for doggies this year, being a top 4 threat? First of all, and then going on to where are you sitting yourself in premiership contention this year?
Oh, well, it's hard to tell, brother. If everyone's still got the Storm as their favourites, then who's to say that us Raiders, Warriors can't win? We're showing probably the most consistency, and we're winning the games we should be winning, whereas Melbourne's, shanked a couple, got put 40 straight on by a team like the Dolphins with no real excuses either. Yes, Harry Grant's out, but you guys have had massive injuries, suspensions all year. Canberra's probably the only ones that haven't really been affected by injuries or anything like that. But again, good teams have still got to win, and that's what we're doing. So who's to say that, any one of that top 3 can't win right now, especially if Melbourne's still everybody's favourites. So, you look at that for and against there for everybody. You guys are on pretty much the same against as Melbourne. Yes, they've scored a few more points. But then you look at the doggies, who are 60 points better in defense than Melbourne. Yes, we've actually had one bye, and Melbourne's had a bye as well. So
they've had a bye as well.
There. But yeah, so I don't know. If everyone's still saying Melbourne is the favourites, then, well, anybody can really win it right now then, in my opinion, because they haven't been great. And yes, it's different when it comes to finals and they've got the finals experience and everything like that, but hey, they're not proving it right now. So
yeah, I think like it's really showing how big of a vital cog that Harry Grant is for that sides and their structures. I still think their attacking side looks really good early on in the contest, but it's those like mid to late parts of the game where I think Harry kind of takes a little bit more control of the contest. And I think at Melbourne at the moment, they go out to these really impressive starts to the game where you're looking at them going, oh my God, like this is like just incredible. And they were doing that when Harry Grant was in the jersey as well. But mid to late in that game, they seem to start to lose control of it a little bit. You know, we sort of Dolphins get really hit them in this key moment there, and they really struggle to go back to their structures. They continue to kind of go too far sideways, maybe too much, and they don't really get themselves in a wrestle. And that game of the weekend against the Raiders, bro, like was a big factor to that as well. Like the Raiders got them to play Raiders football. And with a couple of fortunate things going the Raiders' way late on in the game to end up, you know, getting the win in that one. But like, the Melbourne Storm had full control of that game early on. Did look like they were going to come out and really put even more points on them. I think it got out to, I'm just going to double check. I think it was a 12-6 scoreline there, or a 12-0. And it kind of just Suafar Longo did that amazing try assist. And everyone was going, all right, here we go. Melbourne are back. And then the Raiders just getting back in that grind fest. So I think they're really struggling with that middle part of the game. And I think that's probably where you're starting to see where Harry Grant kind of takes over, because noticing when we watch him play, just the amount of work he gets through and getting some points to the field, I think they're missing that a little bit. But it's no real excuse for a team like Melbourne when they always have other guys to step up in that level and try to take over the reins as well, right?
Yeah, well, they've got Bronson Garlick that's played plenty of games for them now in first grade, and then, you know, Tyrone Wishart off the bench as well. So it's there's really no excuse, and I'm sure Bellamy's not making excuses. He just admits that they're not good enough and they haven't been good enough. And yes, Melbourne's scary when they're on. Anybody's pretty scary when they're on, but you got to find that consistency. And I know that even if Melbourne are in the 8, they're a threat and probably the premiership favourites. But right now, I guess why can't anybody else be a premiership threat if you know, Melbourne still won and they've dropped 3 games now against teams that they probably shouldn't have. Maybe the Raiders, probably the only one that they maybe could have dropped the form that they're in. But, you know, losing to the Dolphins, and I can't remember who the other team they lost to was off the top of my head.
Yeah, so bro, moving on to the Raiders though, sitting second position. We've said this weeks before, but we continue to put our hands up. Like, they are not a wooden spoon team this year. You agree with that?
Yeah, look, you can't argue with it now, brother. Like, Ricky really does have them firing, and I guess they just got that good team chemistry. You know, they don't really have the superstars across the paddock like a Melbourne, like a Broncos, but it's just everybody does their job, and that's probably the most dangerous thing.
Yeah, 100%, bro. They just continue to get teams to play their style of footy. And they've even had down moments. You know, the Seagulls blew them out, that 40-12 contest there. The Cowboys did a great job on them, 30-20. But then they get back into these contests of 24-20 against the Sharkies, dominated Parramatta, you know, came back against the Gold Coast Titans, did what they did. It came back against the Dolphins, and another big comeback victory there with the Melbourne Storm, you know, 20-18 in that contest. And yeah, as I said, they got out to a 12-0 lead. And I think it was off the back of Tamale getting him back into the game. Strong winger. He's looking incredible, Tamale, as well. Obviously, we know him from Supercoach being very high on him. He seemed to kind of step up into a lot of people's eyes now, where everyone's like, oh, is this guy going to become a premier winger in the next, you know, couple of years in the future?
Is he? Yeah, he's a rookie, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah, he's a rookie of the year, no doubt.
Yeah, I think he only played 1 or 2 games last year for the Dragons. It was late on. So didn't debut this season, but he should be still there for Rookie of the Year. I think Lek Alasima is still up for Rookie of the Year this year as well.
Oh, true.
So it's going to be a good fight between those boys, because I think Tamale should be up there as well, bro. He's been incredible.
Yeah, that's just part of my speaking of highly of him right now. It just seems to build every week as well, and he just goes about his work. You know, he's not trying the ego play or anything like that. It's just chipping away hard work.
And there's another guy I want to chuck in too. I'm just going to double check on how many games he had last year.
Lockie was pretty quiet, brother. Like he was unfortunately sick and didn't join us at Magic Round. But he got even sicker on Sunday when the doggies pumped the Titans, brother.
Yeah, that I'm not going to talk too soon on my Warriors, right? But you know, that whole discussion of maybe them being in an 8 looks a little bit better right now than what it did to start the season, right? So very, very happy with that. The other guy now I was going to bring up, bro, Jackson Purdue, but Jackson's actually played 8 games before that, because I remember him filling in a little bit last year, and I was hoping it wasn't too much, but I think that pushes him away from that Rookie of the Year discussion as well, because I've been really high on Jackson Purdue lately.
Yeah, he's building his game very nicely. You know, at the start it was kind of like, all right, he's a Jimmy the Jet, you know, give him some space and that's about it. But like, he goes about his work so nicely now as well, and he's starting to develop that passing game where he's squaring up his man and getting to the winger. And he's building a really nice combination there with Murray to Alungi.
Yeah, Jimmy the Jet, Hamiso, like I got him as like the Hamiso type player, right? You know, the Cowboys, you know, they were hurting to lose that guy and what he turned into at the Dolphins, but then they get this kid with all his very similar attributes, incredible speed, can play in multiple different positions, and just seems so flowy in these movements. I've really loved his game, and I think he's definitely going to be within the Origin frame in the future, and we'll touch on that very, very shortly as well. But let's move over to the news of the week. If there's nothing more you want to touch on Magic Round-wise?
No, I don't think so. Like, yeah, look, every game was great. You know, Penrith back in a great way. We don't need to touch too much on that. It's no surprise. No. Like, everybody writing them off is insane. Like, yes, you know, they haven't looked as great as they have in previous seasons, but, you know, they can pull out a vintage performance like that. And Nathan Cleary's game over the weekend really silenced a lot of doubters, saying Mitch Moses easy dub over Cleary for Origin. So silly there. But, yeah, other than that, some really good games, some really close games in the end, but games of two halves. You know, it was just a great atmosphere. You can tell the players love playing there as well. You know, you can just tell by the efforts they put in, and you can tell by the Supercoach scores this week that how many great performances there really was, because there was about 20 guys that scored over 100. So, yeah, just an overall great weekend. You know, I've seen Buzzman in the chat saying, if you haven't been to a Magic Round, get on it. And if anybody from NZ in here does look to go next year, fuck, by all means, we'll meet up with you guys in Caxton Street, go to the games together. Like, worth it. If you can save up for one trip to Oz, make sure it's around Magic time.
100%, guys. Make sure you come over, because it's such a great product and probably one of the best, most exciting products that we have in rugby league right now. So come over to Magic Round, come over to Suncorp, and long live Magic Round at Suncorp Stadium for the next 10, 15 years plus onwards, forever. It's going to happen forever.
Keep it here.
Moving on to the news of the week, bro. I want to touch on some doggies news. I'll touch on that one first. Jacob Preston, obviously out for 4 weeks now because of fighting a charge of a crusher tackle that was very suspect in that sort of area. You know, we both looked at each other when it happened and kind of was like, not sin bin worthy. Like, when, you know, penalty worthy maybe, but oh, bro, like, I don't know. 4 weeks for that. I understand that there was priors before. I do want to preface that, because a lot of people will probably bring up that in the chat. There is priors. But for that movement in itself, to get himself to judiciary off that movement itself, when he tried to get himself out of that, you know, area, like, your thoughts on that? Obviously, being a Doggies fan, bro, I feel like this has kind of been a little bit of an injustice here.
100%, brother. And like, even if I wasn't a Doggies fan or it was another player, I would still be filthy on this ruling in general. If you actually watch it back at full speed, you got a guy like Tino who's fucking breaking tackles left, right, and center. Got an offload. He's got himself into a bad position, Preston. But by the way, that Tino's backed into the line.
Yep.
He's actually tried to clear Tino's head mid movement to let his head fall through without letting the offload obviously happen as well. Still doing his job, but at full speed, trying to let this big man's head fall through without getting it. And I don't believe there was that much pressure on the back of the head because of it. Like, I'm really dirty about it. And also the fact that it's a Doggies player and he's going to miss 4 weeks, and how great he's been. And now he misses the chance to even go into potential Origin camp. But if it happened to anybody, I'm just like, that's bloody ridiculous, man. And I'm seeing a lot of people compare it to like the Ezra man getting 9 weeks for what he did. And I'm like, well, that's exactly right. Like, draw the line. Like, come on. Like, I get this prize 100%, but off the top of my head as well, I don't really know what Jacob Preston has done that bad to cop that many carryover points. But
the only one from memory, I think it's a couple of hip drop issues from memory early on. But like, honestly, for that instance to happen, and as we, like, you know, a lot of people discuss, even like, guys that have played rugby league, obviously I understand that James Graham did play for the Dogs and he loves the Doggies, all that, this and that, but he's trying to explain, he's like, Jacob was trying to clear the head in that moment too, and you pointed that out straight away, when you watched it live. So it's like, it's not even a thing that, you thought about over time to try and make an excuse of what really happened. Straight when we're live, we're sitting next to each other, it's like, he tried to clear the head. Like, he's tried to clear the head. Unfortunately, it's just tapped the top of Tino's head all the way through, and it's barely brushed into it, right? But, and that too, kind of the discussion of crusher tackles in that area, like, I don't know too much of what Jacob Preston's supposed to do. You kind of touched on that a little bit, where Tino's backing into a tackle, like in the modern day of rugby league, because the offload game is so it's so hard to control, right? Back in the day, everyone used to say just chop at the hip, chop low, chop under the ball. But that's when the offload started to come into, relevance. Everyone was getting that offload away and quick play the balls. You weren't really getting, the dominant tackle call off of those sort of tackles. And now, players are starting to look at, I think the biggest proponent to this was Corey Parker. When he started to really get into his game, the full turn to the line, offload out the back. And that was always, hit the line, that line's going to drop back thinking that nothing's on. That late offload, and that's sort of what these guys get caught into. And now the added effect to that, right, is Tino, he busts through, he's got a ton of power, he turns his back late to put it off. Where's the motion that he's going to be falling? It's towards the line, towards those players, and you get yourself caught in those crusher positions more times than not. And I thought it was well done for Jacob Preston to kind of, lift up a little bit to try and pass the head through. Just really unfortunate moment to what it is. Sin bin, not for me. Penalty, maybe, I guess. Like in the game, sometimes those things can get called, but sin bin in 4 games, that's like, it just seems like it's a bit of an overreaction to me.
100%, especially going in there with all that evidence to fight it and getting more, not less, like failing to fight it. So, I don't know. And like Chris, look, I'm all for players being dirty. No, I'll cop it. Like, yeah, sweet. All right. Last week, the Dogs were very dirty in that Broncos game, but Jacob Preston didn't do anything with malicious intent here, and he didn't deserve to be suspended for that. As for the girls, mate, fuck, I couldn't give 2 fucks. How'd you guys go on the weekend?
Wait till NRLW comes, bro. That's where it's going to be real good, because your girl side, like your junior base and what you're building over there, I'm sure that NRLW Bulldog side is going to have you laughing at the end of the day with that comment there. But we'll probably leave it at that. Are you, like, I saw a comment earlier on, I think it was from Jacko. Sorry, Jacko, I wasn't able to pull it back up again. But are you surprised the Doggies try to fight this charge with, obviously, the pending of like 3 weeks if he just took it as what it is, and then 4 weeks as in what he ended up with because he fought the charge? Like, are you surprised they fought it with that area, thinking that maybe they wouldn't get off? But, obviously we saw doubt there.
Well, I'm not surprised. I think everybody that watches rugby league and understands rugby league, that's just an accident. That wasn't intent. It wasn't deliberate. They thought they would have got it downgraded. Everybody probably would have agreed to that, other than obviously the match officials and the jury officials literally are the ones making the call. So I don't know why it got upgraded. If anything, it should have just been like, nah, look, mate, I'm sorry, it's 3 weeks. Why should fighting it upgrade to more? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. And it's ruined a really good game this week, because we're obviously got the other suspensions. I know Birdo's back, but now it reshuffles our forward pack even more there against a red hot Canberra side. But we'll see how we go. We'll see who we bring in. Hopefully it's just next man up mentality.
And it also kind of ruins a little bit of his origin, story for game number 1, in that whole discussion there too, which kind of sucks, because I had him around about that side. But, obviously just it sucks to see. It's a real sad story there that I feel like the rugby league probably went a little bit too far in that area. I understand they want to protect players, but, that to me just was a little bit of like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, I thought we got a lot better of it. Just touching on Magic Round in general, I thought we kind of had a really perfect balance over the weekend of certain things, right? I think there was only that call and maybe a couple in the Melbourne Storm and the Raiders game where I was kind of like, Everything else, I was kind of like, I'm really happy with how this was refereed over the weekend. I was pretty happy with that in general, right?
Yeah, it was much better. It's like the refs had clear intent on what they were calling, and everybody, all the refs seemed on the same page. They looked confident out there.
Yeah, exactly right, bro. Exactly right. Moving over to another big news story that's been doing the rounds at the moment. Dominic Young may be looking at a mid-season immediate transfer to the Newcastle Knights. So the Sydney Roosters trying to free up a bit of cash. Obviously, all the rumors around, DC coming to the Roosters. This is what everyone's kind of putting two and two together here. The Roosters trying to obviously offload Dominic Young to get a little bit of cash under their belt so they can shoot at DC. But your thoughts overall on this one, bro? Do you think the Newcastle Knights will jump into this? I did hear a rumor Newcastle came out and said we won't be doing any business to help the Roosters unless they help us. But it's come out now that the Roosters are looking at tipping in $250,000 of his contracts a year. So your thoughts overall on this whole situation?
Oh, that'll be a brown paper bag for sure. Yeah, look, I think it's a no-brainer for the Roosters. They're clearly unhappy with what they've seen from Dom Young this year without Manu there to really make him look good like he did last year. And they're just obviously not happy with his work ethic. And, well, why not? When the Roosters have got Marky Mark, Tupou still going well, and Toya and Smith at the moment, if you can keep those guys injury-free, I don't see a spot there for Dominic Young anyway. So, Robert Toya has been outstanding, and if him and Young can't get on, I definitely would be moving on Dominic Young as well and keeping Toya.
Yeah, incredible speed, great athleticism that Dominic Young has, but it's more the footy IQ sort of side of things that he kind of needs to clean up on, and just certain errors he has in his game, and he kind of hasn't got this out of his game since he's pretty much come over to rugby league. Like, there's been moments where he's kind of cleaned it up in areas, but, those are like purple patch of games sort of thing. He had an incredible season for Newcastle at the back of really good shape there. Dane Gagai was obviously giving him a lot of great ball. As you said, Joey Manu gave him some nice moments in the Roosters, but just too far in between. And that's why, I saw a lot of things of people asking maybe the Warriors should go in for Dominic Young. I was like, no, I wouldn't prefer it. I know he's got a ton of potential in that, but just a guy like that for me, probably a little bit too far of I don't know what he's going to get every week. And I'm pretty happy with the crop we have now if we get at full strength. But Newcastle in that area, do you see him versus James Schiller? You probably would. I like James Schiller personally, but I think they're probably going to be jumping on Dominic Young, right?
Yeah, well, I think they will because they were obviously happy with what he produced there. But I think James Schiller was great for the Knights on the weekend.
I thought so too.
Gets in there and does the tough carries where it's players like Dominic Young and Jason Saab, they're two identical to me, except Saab has more injury problems than Young. But they're only good for speed. They're only good for when they get put into a space. They're not creating a space. They're not breaking a tackle. It's just if you get them in open space, they're good. That's about it.
Yeah, moving over to the other guy that's on the chopping block from the Roosters as well. As I said, the Roosters trying to clear up a bit of cash here, and they're going to make some plays around town. Brendan Smith looking to join the Rabbitohs mid-season as well. I'm not too sure how far this has gone through. There's been rumors that this will happen by the end of the week. Obviously we know Brendan Smith is recovering from an ACL injury, so the Rabbitohs will take over that recovery by the looks of it. But your thoughts overall on this move? You probably wouldn't see Brendan Smith till mid to late in the season anyway. But this obviously helps the Rabbitohs in a way, and the Roosters free up a bit of cash here.
Well, does it help the Rabbitohs? They're just buying another injury. They got that many injuries at the moment, and now they're signing a guy that's not going to play for them. So, look, again, as long as they're getting something out of it from the Roosters, then why not? We're probably going to see Brendan Smith there next year anyway if this doesn't go through immediately. So why not just get him in the system, get him around the club, and take it from there?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. He better strap up that left side ACL as well. I think it was his left or his right. Either one. Whatever one that hasn't been hurt just yet, strap that one up too because, the Rabbitohs injury form at the moment, as you said, it's been really, really poor.
It's been, they're struggling hard with it. But I think once he is fit, that is a good move for him. Start him, bring Mamasalis off the bench and then do the old Melbourne, move Brendan Smith up front for a bit and play Mamasalis off the bench. That's what I'll be doing. That was the perfect way to play Brendan Smith and keep him in the game, keep him active, keep his mind on the task.
Yeah, and if he was fit and ready to go right now, it'd make so much more sense to me because the Rabbitohs are down Mamazulis this weekend and for a little bit of a period there with his injury over the weekend. So that would have made more sense. Obviously, Brendan Smith will take a little bit before he gets up and going again. But overall, Brendan Smith, this is freeing up cash for the Roosters here. They're all going to make plays. And I want to jump on this comment while we still have it here as well because it feeds into the other discussion we'll be having as well. Tans, I heard a conspiracy theory that the Roosters, so the Roosters, to sign Fafita. So Smith and Young are being let go. Apparently, Crichton wants to move to rugby in the UK. Your thoughts on that, if that is true?
Yeah, I could see this being true because I've seen a lot of Origin team predictions by reporters, experts leaving Angus Crichton out of the Blues squad as well. So maybe that feeds into that rumor. I don't think the Roosters will sign Fifita now, though, after he backflipped already. I don't think they would, go back again for seconds, especially since the form Fifita's been in since he rejected that. But the Angus Crichton move, I could probably see that happening. But time will tell, I guess. I don't think they sign Fifita though. If they move Crichton on, I don't see that happening.
No, I'm right there with you. But also guys jumping out here in chat, like, Riker's saying, I think that was last year's news, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Tans is a really good footy hedge, so she knows what she's talking about. So maybe something is in the air. Who really knows out there? But touching on Dave Fifita,
I think it's for DCE. The reason they're clearing out. So,
well, that's exactly it. And like with the little bit more money they're going to grab from that, maybe they could go for 2 players. Who knows? Like maybe there's someone else on the market as well. But Reece Robson coming to the club, DC going to get brought into the club by the looks of it, by the sounds of it. They probably have all they need to have in the near future. The Roosters back there in the market doing market things. But a guy that got brought up in that whole thing there, bro, Dave Fifita, obviously big news that he got dropped last weekend. Played in Queensland Cup. Didn't have the greatest performance in Queensland Cup. Got like blown out. I think it was 32-0. Unfortunately, my missus' cousin was in that team as well. Shout out to you, Rashawn. Hopefully, you're the night beside Dave Fifita over the weekend. But your thoughts overall on this whole situation with the Titans? A lot of news coming out now that, players are unsettled with him. He called out that he wanted to play on the left edge. How much of how he called that out is where I'm kind of like, I don't know. Maybe that's kind of what got players offside. And Desi pretty much said, if you want to play left side back rower, you can play it in Cup. So, and then prove it to me from there. But your thoughts on that whole situation? Desi just being Desi, which is great to see. He's holding his nerve. But Dave Fifita, bro, it's one of those stories of like a Dave Taylor, a Tony Williams. It feels like one of those stories now, right?
Well, the way Desi's going, he's going to be coaching Cup soon, so maybe you'll push Fifita back up to NRL. I think I've seen his record is like 11 and 25 losses or something at the Titans.
That's crazy.
And you see the game that Fifita did put in where everybody quickly loaded up on him on Supercoach, and then he hasn't played since. Like, something's going on there, and yes, he's probably rubbing the guys the wrong way, but take a page out of the Tigers book. You need to play your best squad week in, week out, and move past the drama of what they might bring to the club. Because at the moment, you guys are not going too well to be able to dictate who and when somebody like David Fifita should be playing and where. You should kind of be giving him the run of the green there. He wanted to stay at the club, and I do believe that, because why would he backflip on the Roosters otherwise? A club like the Roosters. So crazy. But I think Fifita will move on. I don't know where. I don't know who's going to free that cash up. Maybe the Dolphins, because I don't think he wants to go to Sydney now due to his partner. So Cowboys won't have enough money. Broncos definitely won't have enough money. Dolphins is what's screaming to me for next year.
Yeah. Dave Fifita also being part Tongan, playing outside of Isaiah Qatar. That would be a really interesting little duo. I think that would be really good to see. Are you starting to question Dave Fifita's commitment to the game a little bit as well, or do you still see green shoots there to where like he could make it work at a different club? It's just the Gold Coast Titans and just that club in general at the moment hasn't had the greatest stigma of like success for certain players, and that like Tino is absolutely killing it down there, doing whatever he can, but it just doesn't look like there's any green shoots at the Gold Coast Titans currently right now.
Yeah, but that speaks to Tino's character, and that's why Tino's the captain. Other than that, if Tino wanted to win games, he could go to another club in a heartbeat, but he wouldn't be getting paid the money he's paid to be at the Titans. And that's why he's going to keep putting on that performance. But Fifita, look, you could probably say that his dedication to the game right now isn't the best, but he has come out. He said he wanted to stay at the Titans. He hasn't obviously played great performances, but he's been put on the bench, then named starting, put on the bench, dropped the cut. How can he settle with that as well? It's clearly something going on, like the Horsburgh Stewart situation last year, and Ricky and Hasler and Fifita can't get on. I think the best thing for for Fifita and the club would be to part their ways, because you don't want to lose someone like David Fifita from the game. He's absolutely great when he is playing. He's most damaging, probably back row we have, and that's a lot. And you can say that about a lot of guys, but he's up there, that's for sure. But yeah, I just think the coaching and the player aren't getting on in this situation, and they're not big enough or mature enough to move past it like Galvin and Marshall.
Yeah, I completely agree with you in that area, and like I think that the more food for thought I have for this is, you know, Dave Fifita came into this offseason, he had ankle surgery, right? Like he had a major surgery on his ankle. You know, we all thought that he was going to be later in rounds to start the season, but then he ended up playing trials and everyone was like, oh, that's interesting. Sometimes that's where it kind of like maybe there's like a little bit of pressure between the coach and him, between his rehab maybe, and maybe he was a little bit put off there. I heard very similar things with Corey Horsburgh's case, that he had his injury, and Corey obviously puts his hand up and said that he wasn't in a good mind frame, and he had the argument with Ricky in that area as well. But I think he had trouble with his rehab, and maybe it's just due to the delicacy of that area. Maybe these guys have rubbed up the wrong way on each other. Maybe Desi's pushed him too early on his rehab. Who knows? Like, we really don't know the behind the scenes, but that could have really forced their relationship a little bit. And like, you know, now it's come to a point where it's really looking like that they're going to be parting ways in the future. So I love your shout to Dolphins, bro. That was a really good shout. I didn't really think of that. The Cowboys, you reckon the Cowboys could be an option? Like, they're losing Reece Robson next year. They could free up a little bit of cash. They got John Bateman at the moment. I know he's a right edge, but no.
Yeah, nah. I think the Cowboys won't be too interested in that, and I don't think they'll be having the cap space for it. In all honesty, I think the Broncos would 100% want him back in a heartbeat. But, you know, they can't even afford Aaron Reynolds, so they're not going to be able to afford someone like David Fifita. So I think maybe the Dolphins would be the way to go, and I think Christian Wolf would be a good coach for him. You know, he's sort of still new to the head coaching role anyway, so he's going to listen to his players and want to build with his players. Whereas Tahi said it perfectly in the chat, Des is so stuck in his ways. He thinks it's, you know, 2000 still coaching Manly, where he's got a bunch of hard heads that just do as they're told. Whereas like now you got to think about guys' mental health a lot more in the game as well. Make sure they're mentally happy to produce the good footy out on the field. Whereas like you said, if he was rushed in rehab and told you need to prove yourself, and now he's not getting his preferred side and stuff like that, how he's supposed to want to play for a guy that's doing all this to you? So that's what I think's going on there from a player side of thing. You know, there's not a good relationship there, and it's hard to want to play for your coach or respect your coach in what they're saying when all this stuff's going on. And I know it's his job, and he should be more professional than that, but clearly it's just not working.
Yeah, 100%, bro, 100%. So I think we'll put that one to bed there, guys. We'll have to wait and see how that's going to go with the next coming weeks, because obviously where there's smoke, there's fire. This obviously news story can definitely blow up very, very quickly. And loving the old the chat. Shout out to the chat too tonight, guys. You guys are going to be been going unreal. My chat rate right now is like 4 per minute or whatever it is. You guys are going unreal in the chat. So sorry I can't bring everyone's chat up right now, but we are absolutely loving it. Just looking to our right here and just seeing just the chat go absolutely mental. But
I don't know how he's fighting that either, brother. I really don't know how Horsburgh was fighting that HIA. He literally stood up like he had 7 beers, and then like you said, he was in the shed having 7 beers. That's I don't know, but I'm calling bullshit if he's playing this weekend.
Shout out the horse, bro. Shout out the horse.
They don't breed them like they do in Cabo, mate.
Yeah, bro. They breed him well up in Cabo, bro. We know that well too well. Talking about that anyway, moving over to our team of the week, bro. Our players of the week, our try of the week, hit of the week, and egg of the week. Starting in that fullback position, who is your fullback of the week, brother?
Yeah, James Tedesco, brother.
You James Tedesco. I went Kalen Ponga. I thought Kalen Ponga had a really good bounce back performance there. But James Tedesco, incredible in all areas last night, like the other night. Unreal.
100%, brother. You know, him, Scott Drinkwater was another one that was absolutely outstanding. Connor Tracy, Kalen Ponga, Will Kennedy again for the Sharks. Dylan Edwards, great performance. Stop me when you want me to stop on fullbacks,
Bro,
brother.
honestly, like there was a lot of really great performances this weekend. Magic Round produced a lot of great performances, mainly for backline players, I believe, anyway, this weekend. So shout out to all those boys. They all were worthy of a spot. Like Scotty Drinkwater in a losing side, I thought he was absolutely tremendous. But I think both those guys that we have there definitely deserve their names in the team of the week for sure. And Teddy just like really holding the flag up for State of Origin, if that was to even be a thing, maybe in the future. We'll get to that very shortly. Moving over to the wing spots, bro. Who'd you got?
I went with Murray Tuolungi and Jacob Kraz.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Muzza being a massive player in that Cowboys comeback there. I went Jacob Kraz and Tom Jenkins. I thought Tom Jenkins, when he filled in the roles and stuff, I thought he was incredible over the weekend.
Yeah, he did have a great performance, old Jenkins. Yeah, and he actually got through his work pretty good out of his back end as well for a change. And, you know, it's a shame that he's getting dropped this week, but you're not going to leave someone like Toto out. So,
no way. And shout out to him. We'll talk about him a little bit more later on as well. Moving into your centers of the week, bro, we got
Robert Sawyer and Stephen Crichton.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I didn't put Stephen Crichton in. I loved Critter's performance. I went Bradman Best and Robert Toyer. I thought Brady was incredible over the weekend with the Knights, you know, KP, Brady Best. I thought they opened up their attack against a poor, Rabbitohs side that didn't have many players, to be honest. But Robert Toyer too, bro. I thought that he was probably the standout centre next to Critter in that over the weekend.
Yeah, look, you can make a case for a lot of guys this weekend, and it's showing different things that we've chosen a couple of different guys. But yeah, I couldn't go past, like, call it bias, but yeah, Critter and Kraz on the weekend was an ultimate duo. And if they put them two together in Origin, that would be absolutely outstanding as well.
It's definitely not biased at all, bro. This guy hasn't missed kicks out of 22 kicks this year.
Yeah, I've seen that
conversions.
As well. Yeah.
Bro, and they weren't easy either. You're scoring your tries off of Kraz in the wing. Like, it's not like this is right in front.
No. He done really well in the wet, sunny, at Suncorp. So, yeah, outstanding.
Yeah, 100%. Moving over to 6 and 7 a week, bro. Who's our halves?
I went with Fletcher Sharp in 6, brother. And I think you would be on the same page there. 100%. And then in 7, brother.
This is a fight. This is a close one.
You can go either way, but the reason why I'm going the way I am is just how the other team went after him and bashed him and tried to, like, really take him out of the game, but he just fought back and broke their hearts again. And it's Nathan Cleary. Like, you know, I'm not going to sit here and ride his dick that he's the best halfback in the game because another guy was Luke Metcalf. But Nico Hines. There was a lot of great 7 performances as well, and I wouldn't argue for putting any of them in there, but that's the reason I went with Nathan Cleary, was just the fact that the Broncos deliberately were trying to bash him, hitting him off the ball, you know, smashing him on the sweep plays, all that sort of shit. And he just steps up and goes, yeah, I'm going to kick a 40-20. All right, I'm going to break your hearts with the exact same try that I broke your hearts with in the grand final. Like, just things like that, brother. So that's who I went with, but who did you lock in?
You could already read it. I got Lukey Metcalf, bro. 2 tries, massive performance, and the big try saver on Murray Taulagi that got brought up in the chat just before. But, you know, that play, like, he's done this a couple of times already this year. He showed effort in his defensive side of football, but his attacking side's still there now. He's starting to grow into that position of, like, you know, I think Webby called it out earlier that it felt like that Lukey was trying to just show everyone he could be a halfback to start the season and to just get the team in points in the field, and wasn't really playing Luke Metcalf football. He was playing, like, just saying, guys, I can be a I can put a game manager, I can put them where they need to be. But I keep saying last night, over the weekend, he kind of just went, nah, this is it. Like, I've done that, I've proven that. I'm going to be Luke Metcalf as well. And he kind of did that perfect mix where I thought his kicks over the weekend were really unreal. Everything he kind of touched sort of turned to gold over the weekend. And, you know, that big try saver was a massive one for me. So I'm going Luke Metcalf.
Yeah, and I agree, brother. And he's starting to play the footy that we thought he was going to at the start of the year, while we both locked him into our super coach, because we've seen what he's shown already in that 6 jersey, being just, you know, that backup and how much work he does on the ball, off the ball, everything like that. His running game, his support play. And then, like, at the start of this season, you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head that he was trying to just prove that, no, I'll be the 7. I'll do everything that the team needs me to do. And it kind of shied away from what he does best, and now he's showing that beautifully, and he's got that good mix, and it's like, now I'm like, fuck, this is why I wanted him in my super coach team. So yeah, shout out to Luke Metcalf. He's developing every day in that role.
Yeah, and halfbacks take time. Like we all know this,
100%.
but unfortunately, when we're fans, we kind of want everything to happen so quickly. But like he's just doing this at time, he's taking his time with it, and he's just showing like the potential of what he's actually got. Like he's got such a high ceiling as a player. Like I kind of said on Wise Up TV last night, that he reminds me of Mitchell Moses in the way of early day Mitchell Moses when he went from 6 to 7 to Parramatta, and all the like media around him was like, "You're not a 7, you're not a great 7." Look at Mitchell Moses at the later end of his career now, where he's hitting his prime. He's an out one of the best 7s in the competition right now.
100%.
I think Luke Metcalf has a very similar track. He probably doesn't have a bigger boot, but speed, playmaking ability, I think he's right up there, and he has the potential to get to what a Mitchell Moses is right now. He's not there now, but he will have the potential to get there in the future. So that's kind of how I envision him at the moment.
No, 100% agree, brother. And just quickly on Nico Hines' game as well, it was just good to see prime Nico Hines again, wheeling and dealing, getting his hands on the ball, and just really being that dominant half. And I hope the Sharks take a good look at that and really just continue to build on that.
100%, bro. 100%. Talking about guys that are really stepping up in the motor room, bro. Who's our front row pairing for this weekend?
I went with the young guy from the Panthers, Patea, off the bench.
Leroy Patea. Yeah, I had him too.
Bro,
who was the next to you?
Beast. And Paddy Carrigan, bro, in a loss. The dude just doesn't get the credit he deserves. And I know he's up against, Payne Haas for stat, but you watch Paddy live, brother, and it's just not live, just on TV, and you just follow him and even live against the Doggies, just the amount of work he does, bro, and it just gets unnoticed. And I know that the Broncos fans will say, no, it's noticed, but the media straight away to Haas. And I know Paddy gets the rewards of, still being in Origin and Australia and stuff like that, but he doesn't get talked about enough on the work he does.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I think he's definitely right up there for top 5 front row in the competition, maybe. He's definitely top 10, let's say that. And if we're having discussions of we'll touch on Terrell May and all that later on with State of Origin and stuff, but we've got a guy that I think that Terrell has already been put into that top 3 discussion by a lot of people, but people are forgetting guys like Paddy Carrigan and stuff that have just this punch through the line. He's got the offload, he's got the defense, he's got the chat. He's just an all-round incredible player.
100%, brother. Who was your other fronting?
I went Joseph Tarpany. I thought that he was really, really instrumental against Melbourne, bro. That's a tough team to go up against, that forward pack and that. And he just took the fight to Stefano as well. And I thought he was incredible at the weekend. But Patea, bro, we looked at him you were like, bro, who's this guy? I was like, I seen him play Carp. He's not anything special. He's just a good front rower. Yeah. Bro, what was that?
Yeah, and every run, every tackle was fucking damaging. It was insane that I don't know what Cleary did to him this week. I don't know what he filled them with, but we've seen the Panthers going after them in defense as well. The shot that Cleary put on Cobbo, you see Isaiah Papali'i playing his prime footy again, trying to whack everyone. They were really fired up, the Panthers, and this young kid brought it, and now he's earned himself a spot on that bench, probably long term.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I'm keen to see a little bit more out of him in the future, because if he has that potential in him, he definitely would be a front rower that they definitely need at the moment. Lindsay Smith, they have Liam Henry that are trying to fill the shoes of Fish. These guys can't be Fish because Fish is Fish, but if they can be the best of what they can be, they're going to have an incredible pack again very, very shortly.
100%, brother. 100%. They breed them well there at Penrith.
100%, man. And talking about that, moving to edge back rollers of the weekend, bro, who'd you have?
I went with Jacob Preston and Jeremiah Nanai.
I'm right there with you with Jeremiah Nanai. The other guy I went with Isaiah Papali'i. I thought that I feel like he had an underrated performance over the weekend for me. Defensively, he was just really solid, was hunting 100%. For the work. So shout out to Isaiah.
We were sitting there watching him and we were going, oh, this is good. This is going to make Scott Sorensen really work for that starting jersey back. I didn't actually see, did they name Sorensen starting?
I'll double check that
we'll
right
get
now.
To that. We'll get to that when we review this.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that in the future. 13 jersey. Who you got?
I went with Victor Radley.
Ooh, same. I love that.
Yeah. And Tino was really good again, but that's just Tino. So I went with Victor Radley, who had that really good controlled aggression and really played well in what he does. And the Roosters obviously reaped the rewards of that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, bro. I thought that, for the Roosters to go really well, obviously Sam Walker's out of that lineup at the moment. Sandon Smith, unfortunately, didn't play a lot of footy over the weekend. I thought Victor Radley stepped up in the middle really well, got into all the points they need to get to, and helped out that young halfback that they had there too. So incredible there, Victor Radley. Well deserved 13 of the week there.
100%, brother. 100%.
Moving over, let's go for our hit of the week, bro. Who'd you have?
No. You forgot 9, brother.
I always forget the 9.
You do forget the 9.
Who's the number 9 for you?
In a losing team, Jacob Little, brother. There wasn't too many great 9 performances over the weekend, in my opinion, but he stood out to me.
Yeah, he was incredible. I went Connor Watson. I thought Connor Watson had a decent game at the weekend. Good spark in the middle, opened up a lot of opportunities. So I went with him. But I love Jacob Little's work off the bench, and we got to watch out for him this weekend against the St. George Illawarra Dragons at Wynn Stadium.
100% bagged the double as well.
Yeah, that guy is nasty. Hopefully, not hopefully, Shane Flanagan, not this weekend, but give him more minutes, bro. Give him more minutes. But we're on a train. But moving into our hit of the week, bro, who we got?
Mine was Stags on Cleary, brother.
I'm right there with you. There was a couple of them, though, over the weekend that was filtering. Yeah. But, I went Stags on Cleary. I thought that that moment, unfortunately, Cleary just bobbling with the ball, turned that batsman swing. Oh, no, neck minute. Yeah. Katani Stags, bro. He can lay people out.
I really like the one Cleary on Cobbo, though, chasing your own kick and trying to whack a bigger man like that. You don't see that much from a halfback. So, but yeah, that was a few really good shots. I think the young kid as well, Patea, he got Paddy Carrigan.
He did.
He got Paddy in a decent shot. So yeah, and Papali'i got Payne Haas. So yeah, that was a few. Like I said, the Panthers were on something on the weekend and really took the steam out of the Broncos.
100%, bro. And then if you're looking at impactful tackles, like Luke Metcalf's try saving tackle 100%. Over the weekend, there's a lot of big ones Billy like that Smith. Too. So
Billy Smith, try saver.
Yep, exactly.
So the one that got Jaden Sewer. Oh, that was no one.
We'll get to that very shortly, bro. We'll get to that very shortly. Try of the week. Who'd you have?
KO Weeks, brother.
Yeah, I did. I messaged you before this. I was like, in the exact same game, I was like, we got try of the week. Ryan Papenhausen off the back of Fa'alongo. Yeah. And then next minute to end the game, I was like, there's our try of the week.
Yeah, the balls to be like, you know what? I've got Papenhausen for speed. I'm gonna chip chase him. And I know he had the momentum and Pappy had to turn and chase, but you see Pappy turn and chase before he even got it onto his boots. So, and he was at a standing start to turn and chase, but yeah, never looked like not getting to that ball, KO Weeks, and just the balls to do that, really. He could have easily took the tackle and they could have played on the next couple of plays. It wasn't last tackle, but he was like, nah, all or nothing, I've got this.
Yeah, unreal, bro. To have the balls to do that on the main stage, get him to, tie it up. And then the Raiders end up getting on with it and winning that game. So a massive big one there for KO Weeks. The other one, I just saw it in the chat as well. There could have been try of the week. That Roosters try, that was the amount of offloads in that one play was just mental.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, there was a few actually. I liked the crisp play ones as well, like the Presto tip back to Connor Tracy. Just really isolating that half. They hit the line, spin, throw it out back. There's a few. Pompey intercept was a good one as well. But yeah, KO Weeks for me as well.
KO Weeks for days, bro. Player of the week.
Oh, player of the week was a tough one for me, brother. It really was. I haven't even highlighted anybody. I'm gonna go with Teddy, brother. Just proving again that he's aging like fine wine.
Yeah. There was a lot of discussion on his age and all that last year with I don't even think he had too much of a down year. Obviously, it was just a down year for Teddy standards, and even some areas I think the media kind of just ran with that narrative. But he's just such a ultimate professional, and week in, week out, he's always going to turn up for your side. And I know you're benefiting off the back of the Supercoach scores over the weekend too. So incredible there from Teddy. I went with Luke Metcalf. Again, I'm just going to write, rain on his... I love what he's doing, bro. Continue doing what you're doing, Lukey. Continue carrying us, getting into that top daily end discussion at the moment, which is great to see. But what a performance over the weekend to get us that win. He was the main cog in the wheel over the weekend.
100%, brother. Like, I can't argue with that. Like, Metcalf was instrumental, brother, and he keeps building.
And our most important segment of the week, egg of the week, bro. What happened here?
It's Jaden Sewer, brother. Honestly, it's Jaden Sewer.
Oh, and there's so many dad jokes I can come out with that. It's like, you need to get that on the ground. Like, what do you mean? Like, there's so much you can do with that, bro. But man, that play, that was such a big play. When you start to look at the end score line, the moment when it happened, like, I feel for Jaden Sewer. I really do.
I, brother. Like, he could have passed. Nah, Dewey went straight for just no one, nobody around him. And you take a little bit too far of a step forward and you need the ball out of your own hand.
Oh, bro, 100%, 100%. Like, feel sorry for you, Jaden. Hopefully that didn't cost you an Origin spot. We'll talk about that right now. Moving over to our Origin team predictions, bro. Who do you want to start with? Do you want to start with your Blues or do you want to start with my Maroons? I think the Maroons is a little bit more of a talking point, but the Blues are still there.
Yeah, well... you go with your. Well, let's go with your Maroons, brother, and let's clarify that it's not what we are predicting will happen. It's more so what we think. What we would select.
Yep, exactly right, bro. Exactly right. You know, we both have Spencer Leniu in the Blues lineup, and I think that's been locked in. But I already kind of had that around in my team. But with the Maroons side, do you reckon just run this 1-17, or do you reckon we just go backline halves, do that 1-for-1?
Let's go 1-for-1.
All right, beautiful. Fullback, I've got Kalen Ponga.
I agree.
I couldn't go Munster and put Dearden at 6. I've heard that discussion and stuff. Got to go KP. That's just it.
I completely agree. He always, it's pretty much Superman jersey when he puts on that Maroons jersey. He tries hard no matter where he's playing through the middle or at the back. I really think you could have used him in game 3 last year earlier. So yeah. It's Ponga for me. And also in the chat, shout out as well if you guys have different opinions as well, just while we go through it, and we will try and put in your take as well.
100%. Wingers for Maroons, I've got Xavier Coates. Sorry, guys, whoever pointed that out last week. Egg. And Murray Taulagi.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I'm the exact same.
Yep. Yeah, sweet. Easy days here. Centers. I went with the Hammer and Valentine Holmes. The other center was tough with Val and stuff, but I think Val should deserve the opportunity to get another track there. I think he's had a good season this season. Yeah. The Hammer, I've got locked in.
100%. I can't argue with those two. I don't like Cobbo at center. I think it's too early for Purdue or Toya. But I think next year you start looking at bringing those guys into, well, probably even this year, bring them into camp. But like next year, start looking at selecting them over someone like Holmes, who's just going to be that age older again.
Yeah, agreed. Moving to 6 and 7. This is pretty simple. Munster and DC at the moment. That's what I'm going with.
100%.
Yep, sweet. Moving to the front row, I've got Tino and Paddy Carrigan there right now, and you'll see my number 13 later. You can kind of interchange the 13s for me, in my opinion. But I think Carrigan's doing a great job at front row, and that pairing with Tino, it just gives like, you know, big, talented, skillful bodies that can break open a game or, you know, deal with the early pressures of the Blues early.
Yeah, I went Tino, Paddy.
Yeah, sweet. Harry Grant is my number 9 if he's fully fit and ready to go. And if he's not, I'm going to go Benny Hunt at number 9, and we'll discuss 14 later.
Yep. Spot on there as well, brother.
All right, my edges. I think this is where we're a little bit different, right? I've got Tom Gilbert and Jeremiah Nanai. I think, you know, I know Tom Gilbert hasn't had the greatest season so far coming back off injury. I would love to play him in the middle, but we are kind of drained for edges at the moment for me. Tom Gilbert has played good in an edge. I think defensively he can hold an edge. You could also mix him around with playing 13 and the other guy that I have at 13 playing on an edge as well. But Nanai for me should get a spot this year.
Yeah, I went with Nanai and Beau Fermor.
Yes, and I will discuss Bowie a little bit later on, but I would love the Beau Fermor shout.
Yeah, I just think I don't like Gilbert on an edge. I don't like Cotter on an edge. Like, yes, they're good defensively, but they don't punch that hole as nice as I like my back rollers to punch a hole. So I've gone with Beau Fermor.
All right. Shout out to Flo Lacey for the $5 New Zealand super chat. Up the mighty Sharkies. Thank you so much, Flo, for chucking in the $5 for us. Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. We really do appreciate it.
I think he had a bet against Chris's Eels and won on the weekend.
Hey, shout out Chris. I hope you're still in the chat. Loving it, loving it. The 13 jersey. Who have you got there?
Maxi Plaff, brother.
I've gone Ruben Cotter. If Plaffy's fit and ready to go, I've got him in another position at the moment, but I've got to go the guy that's been there before.
Nah, yeah, I agree. Look, Cotter's going to be a killer, but yeah, I don't know. I like Plaffy. I love his defense work. Yeah, I love that he can move into 9. And I think if you're starting him in that lock forward role when you got, Paddy Tino up front doing the damage, I think that'll be a nice way to ease him into the game as well.
Yeah, fair call. Moving over to my bench, bro. We'll just go 14 to 17 here. I just went Tom Dearden. I got to find him a spot. He's in incredible form at the moment. And like you've heard it from me multiple times, for me, he resembles Ben Hunt. Like I just see a lot of Ben Hunt in him. I think he can do a job there. And we've done this before with our halves, putting him in that 14 jersey, getting him back into Origin. I think he'll have moments in him. So he's my 14. I went Beau Fermor, Corey Horsburgh, if he's fit and ready to go. And the last one, I'm going to go either Max Plaff, Mo Fodawaker, or Lindsay Collins if he's back. But I'm going to go Max Plaff there because I think Max has been more informed than Mo Fodawaker and that at the moment. Corey Horsburgh will be our big body off the bench. And Maxi Plaff, as you said, he can fill in multiple different positions. So I'm just going to go with that.
You're not too worried about not having 2 big bodies on the bench, Fermor, Dearden, Plaffy. Like Plaffy does play in the middle, but you got Cotter that can move up front. Yep, I like it.
Yep. Yeah, so you got kind of like, I feel like you got the similar names in the Maroon squad. Where you put them is kind of the discussion, right? And I feel like there is points of positive why you go certain players in each position. Like you could easily move Ruben Cotter to an edge, Gilbert to the middle, and he'll be more of a bigger body sort of in the middle. And Plaffy, you can even go Plaffy at 13, Gilbert off the bench because he's come back of an injury. Like I can see that discussion. Is that how you gone about it?
Yeah. My bench is actually Dearden, Horsburgh, Cotter, and Mo Fodawaker. I'm actually leaving Gilbert and Collins out.
You're not a fan of Tom Gilbert this year? Obviously, injury-wise, he's come back a little bit early, do you believe? Or is that really your thoughts?
He's just, like, he doesn't do anything wrong. And I know he kills it for that Origin jersey, but I just think he's not in the rarest form right now. Whereas, I really did like Mo Fodawaker's game on the weekend, even in a losing squad. I didn't watch too much of his defensive work, though, in all honesty. But I just think these guys are a bit more fit and firing. I think Gilbert is pushing the narrative a little bit. And I just think he gets kind of lost in games. He is my 18th man, though. And I know that's a weird 18th man, but I do think he deserves to be there or around there. But I think my bench that I've gone with, I like a bit more. Mo for a bigger body with Horsburgh, and then Cotter and Dearden.
Yeah. I do love the Fermor and Nenai shout that you had before. I had Fermor off the bench, but if we started Fermor and Nenai, both played decent minutes, in those roles for NRL. I know State of Origin is a step up there. I love that sort of move, and that could push, like for me, a Gilbert to the bench, and you could run that sort of look as well. But for Gilbert, I do have a little bit of the worry that he hasn't, he's come back off this injury. He's played okay at the Dolphins. He's had some moments of defensive lapses in games. Usually when you put a Maroon jersey on these players, usually they turn into a different beast, and we know what they can come 100%. Out with. That's what we're kind of hoping and praying on here. Because very similar sort of talking about, someone like a Ruben Cotter for me. He's in the same vein at the moment.
Yes.
His form hasn't been incredible, but we're just looking at what he's done in the past in Origin. And, that Gilbert season where he came out there and he looked like one of the best on the field for those moments. I think that for me, I just can't leave him out just yet. Like, I feel like he's just got that origin of like, as soon as he gets in there, he's going to step up and be the Tom Gilbert we all know and love.
Yeah. I agree. He'll do a job, but for me, he's not a back rower.
Yeah. And I can see that too. I've got him in the back row currently right now because I think he can play that. And I think that we haven't got a lot of great options other than Beau Fermor. I just think I want to ease Beau Fermor into some minutes there too. Because this would be his second run of Origin this year, right? Or his debut Origin. From memory, I'm sure he played Origin before.
He's played an Origin game before, yes.
Yeah, I just feel like I got to ease him in for some reason. I don't know why I feel that, but and you know how high I'm on Beau Fermor, so I love that his name's in the discussion though. That's the big thing.
Yeah, 100%.
quick, wanted to discuss on a couple of smokies here. Jai Arrow, does he have an opportunity there?
He does, but I think he's carrying that bit of a shoulder injury now from a couple of weeks ago. So that's kind of ruled me out. The Rabbits have got enough injury woes as well. And I think there's just other guys ahead of him at this stage.
Kurt Mann?
Deserves a camp.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to have Kurt Mann around.
At least deserves a camp.
And as we kind of discussed before, if I had Kurt Mann on my bench makeup, I kind of like him and Max Plaff. If Max Plaff isn't fit and ready to go, like, I think Kurt Mann could fill that. But then you got Tom Dearden there that's going to be doing a lot of what Kurt Mann's sort of going to be doing there too. So there is a little bit of that too. But I love Kurt Mann. He deserves to be around camp. And like, you know, with all things, I'd be happy to see him in a 14 jersey too.
100%. You can still fill in those roles.
And the last one's Jackson Purdue. This is more of a squad look for me. I want him in the squad.
Yeah, camp as well, and he deserves that. I think it's good for him to get in there in the camp and learn off Holmes and the Hammer, and then next year you'll probably see him actually get that spot. Also, Trent Liero as well. Don't forget him. I think he'll be in camp as well.
Jaden Sewer.
I think the story was told last year when he got dropped.
Yeah.
So I think unfortunately he hasn't been bad this year for the Dragons at all, but I think now that you got Tino, you got Gilbert, I think these guys, you got Horsburgh back in good form. These guys are going to get ahead of your Hopgoods, your Sewer that had to get bred last year. I think those guys go straight back in front.
100%. And Rock is here. Man can't get a start at the Dogs and to be in Origin ? My whole rebuttal to that is like, you know, in new age rugby league, being off the bench isn't a downgrade or anything these days, right? Like we're looking at last year, they had Connor Watson for the Blues being in discussion to play in Origin last year, and he was notably a 14 off the bench, like, you know, to fill in those roles. So that doesn't matter to me in that sort of sense at all.
No. And the Doggies play it that way. So Jamin Salmon takes the sting out of the defensive line. He's there to solely defend the start of that game. And then you see Kurt Mann bring that impact off the bench. And that's when you start to see the Doggies put on some plays, put on some points. And you see the momentum swing, you know, just like Dylan Walker was for the Wars last year. So it's it's the type of play you do want off the bench. It's just as important as a starter.
100%, man. 100%. Moving over, enough with my beautiful Maroon squad. Let's move over to your dirty Blues. Dirty Blues. Nah, let's go. New South Wales squad prediction. Number 1, bro. I've got Dylan Edwards.
Yeah, same. I don't. And if he's out, look, as good as Teddy is, I don't think you go back to Teddy if Dylan Edwards is out. But I think Dylan Edwards is deserving of it. He's consistent. He's almost error-proof. He's a workhorse. It's a no-brainer.
If he was out, Tom Trbojevic, Ryan Papenhuyzen, Scotty Drinkwater, and you kind of just touched on Teddy a little bit. Who's your names filling that role?
Turbo, then Latrell. I don't think you need to breed Papenhuyzen. That's not knocking him. I dare say if Dylan Edwards was gone, I would be looking at Pappy to that fullback role.
Craig Collins, NRL 9 just put out some news about Dave Fafita. Let us know in the chat what the news is, bro. I'll try and put it up on my left-hand screen while we run through the squad predictions right now. In the wing jerseys, bro, who have we got on both our wings?
If they're both fit, it's Brian Toto Lomax. Don't change from last year. Right
there with you. If they're not fit, who's your backup options?
Well, Brian Toto's back this week, so he's definitely should be fit. So it's Brian Toto, and I would go Jacob Carraz.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Do you think Turbo could be playing on a wing?
Yes, I could see that, but I think the combination of Critter and Jacob Carraz would be more beneficial. And I know that's leaving Turbo potentially out, but what do you do?
We'll get to that a little bit more later on. Centers.
I went Stephen Crichton and Tom Trbojevic.
Oh, no Latrell?
Not for game one.
That's a big one, bro. Why is that?
I don't think he's interested in playing Origin. Every time there's Origin discussion and it comes up to Origin time, he does something silly to get suspended or he's injured and like, I know it's Origin, it's Latrell Mitchell, he's scary, but Tom Trbojevic had the best season that I've seen anyone play Origin in a series. And I can't leave out Stephen Crichton either. So, yeah, I've got to go those two.
See, for me, like, all right, Stephen Crichton's a lock for both of us, I believe. Like, you can't, for me, I know you've had that great series with Turbo and Latrell, but Stephen Crichton right now is the best center in the league. He's possibly the best leader in the league. Like, you could look at, like, he could definitely, like, bring some good energy to the camp. For me, I'm leaving out Turbo of the squad, which is hard to say, but I just think as a Maroons fan, when I see Latrell on the football field, when I see Tommy, there is obviously like, fuck, Tommy's out there. We've definitely dealt with Tommy before though. You know, the Hammers had some great moments there, you know, obviously later on in the game. Latrell, I've just barely seen anything that we can get out there to control Latrell when he's on. And that's what worries me.
Yeah, but is he going to be on? Whereas you know Turbo is going to be on. And if you got Dylan Edwards at fullback, I think you need Turbo in there that will play that sweep football fullback on the other side of the field, you know, and create that havoc. So whereas Latrell is just going to bunker himself down on the left edge, and that's fine as well. But you know, if you got a fullback in Trbojevic or Pappenhausen, that's probably good. You know, have Latrell there, but with Edwards at fullback, I just don't know if Latrell's the move when you've got Toto, Critter, Turbo, and Lomax fit. I don't think you take out either Toto or Lomax either to put Tommy onto a wing. So for me, until Latrell shows something at Clubland and shows fit and discipline, I will leave him out of game one. And I could eat for words, and he could be back in game two, but I'd like to see something from him first.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I was like, yeah, as a Maroons fan, bro, he gives me the fucking shakes, bro. And you know that last year when we had it, I was like, oh, you just know what's coming. And it's not nice for being on the Maroons side of things, right?
But does Buddy Best not give you the shakes? Because he's killed you guys every time he's played for the Blues.
Yeah, well, you know, that first time, yeah, that's true. He's had some great performances there too. I think that, I don't know why I just hold Latrell in this, like, just this upper echelon of that top tier left side center. I don't know why. I really can't, like, just put it into words, because I think that, yeah, because Brady ended up killing us in game 3 and, like, you know, last year. So that's a really tough moment to do so. So it's a great argument to have, right? Like,
do we start thinking prime Latrell's gone? Because that was prime, that's starting to look like prime Latrell when through injury, through suspension. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if he's got that fire anymore to want to do that.
Was game 2 last year prime Latrell for you?
It was good Latrell, don't get me wrong, but probably not prime Latrell. And I can't leave out prime Trbojevic, who proves week in, week out sort of thing.
We know that overall, and with Jazz here, Ash, probably due to his upper body strength with Fens and on a rampage, like I was thinking that, but Brady Best has got a very similar, like, sort of standard there too. Like, I'd say that, you know, Latrell probably skips on the outside probably a little bit better and that sort of sense, like, you know, but, you know, if you're thinking of Brady's so nimble for his size too, right? So you can't really have these big discussions, say there's a big discrepancy between the two in that area. So that's why I didn't throw up those arguments. But yeah, overall, like, you can definitely tell as a Maroons fan, the side that I'm worried about, whoever you're going to put on that side, it's going to be the big key area for us to defend. And at the moment, we've got Latrell versus, you know, Valentine Holmes, or Tommy versus Valentine Holmes. And that worries me because, like, the Hammer predominantly plays on that left side. He locks down that left side for our side, which is right side opposite for you guys. We had Gagai there too, didn't do a job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the side I worry about for us.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Latrell's there, don't get me wrong. I know he'll absolutely brain it. But if I'm picking right now on what I've seen and the attitudes I know of the players so far this season, it's those guys for me.
Yeah. 100%, bro. I can see it from your angle as well, because when we talk about these centers, we're talking about the cream of the crop of the competition, right? Like, the Blues have got some cattle 100%. There. So you really can't go wrong in that area, right? Unless you know, go somewhere like Charlie Staines or something. But anyway, all right, who's our halves, bro?
Staines just got violated for no reason.
We all know it's true.
I went with Moses and Cleary, brother. And that's sad on the why, but I just think it's the way to go.
I'm right there with you, bro. Sorry, I just had a nice little swig there. I'm right there with you. I've gone Mitchell Moses and Nathan Cleary. I feel for Jerome Luai. I think Jerome Luai would be such an incredible addition. It sucks to leave someone out that was so vital to that victory for you guys in Game 3. Stole it from us at Suncorp. But Moses, does he play in that 6 jersey for you?
Yeah.
So that's the way you're kind of envisioning it there. Yeah. I don't think you could go wrong. Do you believe, like, Phil Gilsk obviously came out and said that you got to have a 6 in that jersey? Obviously, Jerome Luai is playing 7 right now, which kind of defeats that thought. But, you know, obviously he's been one of the greatest, the best 6s the last how many years?
100%.
Like, do you believe in that thought that this is going to be clunky with Moses and Cleary?
Nah, because Moses' best aspect to his game is his running game, in my opinion, and his kicking game. Don't get me wrong, but Nathan Cleary just big games.
We've seen both these players take a back foot step 2 and play off the back of like their running game as well. Like we look at the grand final 2023 off the back of Cogger coming on, playing that halfback sort of role. Cleary turned to a runner and he obviously stole that game from the Broncos. So it could go either way in that sort of sense. But I agree with you. Moses has played 6 before. You know, we all do forget this. He was a 6 at the Tigers before he went to Parramatta. So I can see that. I'm curious, very excited to see. Well, I'm not excited, but I'm curious to see how that turns out for the Blues because I think that could be really, really great, or it could be a little bit clunky. It could go either way.
I think they'll be professional enough to work it out.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of talk around these positions here, but the front row pairing, who have you got to start off the game?
I'm starting with Payne Haas and Mitch Barnett.
Oh, I like it. I love it. I've got Payne Haas, so let's lock him in because he's a lock no matter what. I've got Terrell May right now. But we had a discussion before we jumped on here. Barnett, Terrell May to start, and we'll touch on Terrell May in your team later on. But Terrell May or Barnett to start? Why Barnett for you?
He's been there, done that. He's captain of his club. His defensive movements are a lot better for me, especially to start the game. And he won't be targeted to get a penalty out of. You know what I mean? Yep. Whereas like when you see May, fresh, new, this ego forward that has his head pretty high right now, the Maroons are going to want to bash him early and try and get him into something that he probably shouldn't get himself into and normally get himself into. And I'm not saying he couldn't handle himself, but I think Barnett starting would just bring that experience, that mature head.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think Barnett should be spoken about up there with Terrell May and stuff for front rowers, like, you know, up the top of the competition, right? So I really can't argue with that sort of thought. I think that Barney's got such greater side to side foot, speed. He covers defensively so well. He's got really good control aggression. So we'll touch on Terrell May. Oh, we may as well do it now. You got Terrell May off the bench?
100%. And the only reason why is everyone's forgetting how well Terrell May was for the Roosters off the bench last year. That's what earned him the money to go to the Tigers and become the front rower he is. He was so damaging off the bench last year for the Roosters. I think he could bring that impact again and then play his big minutes after a good 20, 25-minute stint there of him going to the bench. I think he brings more impact when he's off the bench as opposed to when he's playing. Like, yeah, he gets through a lot of work for the Tigers, but he's not breaking a lot of tackles. He's not getting quick play of the balls. He can get an offload, don't get me wrong, but I think he's just more damaging once there's a little bit of fatigue in the game.
Yeah, well, that's definitely predicated to his game. Like seeing over the weekend, he got put in his ass a couple of times by those Dragons edges, off the kickoffs and that. Like, that's Terrell May. Terrell May, for me, I always heard people say he's a damaging ball runner. I've never seen Terrell May as a damaging ball runner. I've always seen him by death by 1,000 cuts. Like, he's got probably the biggest motor up there with Payne Haas in the competition to where he'll make 20 runs, per game. He'll get 200 meters because he's doing 10 meters per run, but he's not really punching through the line of what a Payne Haas could. Barney's going to bring that little bit of aggression in that sort of area as well. So I could definitely see that. And when the looser forwards come in, when you have that guy that's just going for back-to-back runs off of sets, I can see that being a really big part during the middle part of the game in Origin as well.
And to start the game, we've seen it before where on a kickoff, say the Maroons kickoff to the Blues, we've seen the Blues start the game with the fronty hit it up and then Turbo came in for a carry and then Latrell came in for a carry. The Blues do rely on their back five a lot. you don't need Terrell May and Haas both out there wanting carry after carry after carry, because you know that they're going to want to do that. Whereas if you start with Haas and let him have that 2 hit-ups a set like he likes to do, you got Barnett that won't really worry too much about having a carry. He'll just be out there solely to strengthen that defense, because I think he's a lot better defensively than Terrell May. And that's not knocking Terrell May, but just the lateral movement and the speed of the game will shock May as well. So I think, Barnett, start the game, let Haas get through his damaging runs, and you've got your back 5 that are taking a lot of carries. You know that Cleary and Moses like to use their back rollers a lot for attack as well. So you're not going to see the fronties or even Isaiah Yo hitting the ball up too much, because he's my lock. We're getting to that already. But you just have that one ball dominant fronty running, which is Haas, and then the other 2 are out there just to really take the sting out of the game defensively.
Yeah, I think you changed a lot of mindset here in the chat, bro. And like, obviously, I'm thinking really hard about it too. Like, you know how much I love about Barnett, and you got really good points there to where like you probably make a change of Payne Haas comes off, Terrell May probably comes on in that contest. And then you got Spencer Lenu. You just wait for that moment of like, you know, Barney, come off, bro. Bang, just open up the contest. So I love that, bro. Really good thought process. And that's great footy IQ from you, as people know and love you here for why you're on Down Unders and talking to me here. But number 9, bro. Who've you got number 9?
Yeah, I've gone with Reece Robson still, brother.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, bro. I know that for me, I think Wado has been one of the best hookers in the competition this season. Api Coruscant has always put his name up in these discussions. He's been incredible for the Tigers when he's been there. But Reece Robson, incumbent from last year, did like amazing things for the Blues last year. Has the ability to play 13, number 9. Like, I think he's got to be there again.
100%. I think he doesn't overplay his hand out of hooker either. He just makes his tackles. Good pass, good clean service, and his gas tank's there. If he needs to, he can go the 80.
Yeah, and keep Egan with the Warriors, as Jose said here in the chat. I totally agree with that.
100%.
We didn't win games over Origin, boy. Don't take our main man in the middle.
Fucking oath, brother. Fucking oath.
All right, moving to the edge back rollers, bro. Are you going the incumbents or are you switching it up here?
Bro. Nah, incumbents, bro. Angus Crichton, Liam Martin. Like, I know that there's other guys that are more damaging with the ball, and this year anyway, but those 2 absolutely killed it last year.
Yep.
Been there, done that. And I think if they're both fit, then you keep them around.
I'm right there with you, bro. I know that Liam Martin, he's had some good performances, probably not looking at the same Liam Martin, what we saw last year, but as soon as you put that blue jersey on him, I know exactly what I'm going to get out there. Yeah. He's a scary man. Angus Crichton as well. Very similar sort of vein. I think he's been in a little bit more better form towards it, getting back off the injury at times. So hopefully he's fit and ready to go. But we all know that he more than likely could be the best edge backer on a competition when he's on.
100%, brother, and he proved that last year.
Yeah, 100%. 13, you kind of discussed this before. I went Isaiah Yo, you went Isaiah Yo as well?
Yeah, brother, I did. Liam Martin will start on the bench. Who are your back rowers, Chris, if you don't mind me asking?
I'd say he's probably looking at Hudson, I'd say.
You're playing
2 left edge back rollers there too, because Angus is on the left, right? So maybe he's got Ola Kawatu.
That matters. So,
and we'll discuss about that a little bit more too anyway. But 14, bro, I've got Connor Watson.
Yeah, same, brother. No brainer.
All right. Mitch Barnett for me was off the bench, but with your discussion before, that's Sarah May as well.
Yep.
Hudson Young for me, I think he's done enough to get another jersey again.
Yeah, look, I've shitted on him in previous years, and
me too.
He's played his best year this year, so of course he's getting picked. I don't know how they play him though, but that's for them to figure out, I guess. I think he'll be in the squad.
Yep, I'm right there with you. And Spencer Lenu.
Yeah, Spencer Lenu will be there. Ola Kawatu and Crichton. Okay, that makes sense, Chris. I can't argue that.
No, for me, the only way I could argue that is like, I think that Ola's had a great start to the season. He had like a little bit of a flat spot there. Then he's come back up a little bit again. Like, if Preston wasn't suspended, I would say Preston for me is over Ola Kawatu at the moment. We'd talk about Hudson. I say overall, I would go, I think Hudson should be on the bench. Then I'd say Presto if he was ready. And then Ola Kawatu was my next spot. Yeah, that's my only thought there.
It's somewhat about combinations as well for me, and I don't know how Cleary would go with Ola Kawatu on that right side. We know
Agreed.
Cleary likes to really drop his back roll back under, but we don't really see Ola Kawatu do that a lot for Manly. He's normally give early ball and then he ball plays a bit. I think you would want the ball more so just in your halves hands mostly and your fullbacks hands. So yeah, I think it's got to be Liam Martin to pair up with Cleary on that right edge still.
Yeah, 100%.
But I
100%.
can see it. I can see the argument there.
The only thing I would say, Chris, with your bench there, you're missing out Connor Watson. For me, that's a big one. Like, how vital do you think Connor Watson is for your bench makeup here?
Oh, 100%. You don't want Robson playing 80. He can play 80, but you don't want it. You don't want to force that.
No.
And you know, you got Watson that not only can play 9, but he can play in that lock role as well if you need to move Yo up front for whatever reason. So, yeah, I think you got to have that utility.
He could also play 6 as well. Like he's well versatile there. Smokies for the Blues. We kind of discussed a couple there. Ola Kawatu, if Preston was off suspension for me, those are 2 others there. You got any more? Jacob Kraz for sure. Any more that you have on the top of my head? Oh, we spoke about Latrell and Trell and Serbo, so they're got to be around about us, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you reckon Ryan Pappenhausen, something like that, has been good enough this year to be around the camp?
Oh, he's been good enough, brother, but I just don't know if they will bring him around the camp.
Who's your rookie kid that they usually bring in the camp? Like, are you looking at, I know you brought in last year, you'd say Preston?
Yeah, Preston or Kraz, bro. They should be in camp.
Yeah. I was just sort of looking at like the halves sort of look like, would you put in Isaiah Katoa this year, Lockie Galvin? Would you put in like, who'd you have in last year? The name's escaping me. Raiders number 6, Strange.
Yeah. Max King, Isaiah Katoa maybe.
Yep. Josh King.
Yeah. Another good guy that could easily steal a front row spot. Not easily, but could steal a front row spot.
And a big one here. Who's your captain? Stephen Crichton or Isaiah?
Isaiah.
Yeah. Also on this discussion, it's time, obviously, Gerbo falls out of the squad. Unfortunately, like a great year last year, stepped up, had the leadership and got the club up. But are you worried in that area? Does that lose anything for you, Gerbo been pushed out of the squad, or do you think it's just time? Obviously, it just happens. It's
just time. Like if we want another Gerbo build, I'm going to put in Cam McInnes. Gets through bigger minutes these days than Gerbo. Can actually get a quick play of the ball. Gerbo can't, and great defensively as well. But we don't need Gerbo anymore. Like, he hasn't even been good for Manly this year, and that's a shame, you know. But I think his time's past Origin now, and the way the game's going now.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that sort of sense, bro. And lastly, just on my Maroons, captain's obviously DCE at the moment. But if DCE wasn't a captain, there's a lot of good options there. Like, you know, I don't know if Munster's really the captain type. I think Munster just likes being the free-flowing character in that. But we got Tino, Paddy Carrigan. I think those are the types for me, the next one to step up. I think, like, obviously Harry Grant's the captain for the Melbourne Storm. But I think Tino as a captain, his leadership as well, I kind of love that. I think that he's vital for us in this series.
Yeah, you got a few captains or club captains there in Ponga, Tino. But yeah, Tino for me would be captain, and you'd probably vice someone like a KP.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Now, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening into the State of Origin predictions. And that, let's move over to the weekend upcoming. As I said before, it is the Women in League round, guys. So again, Mother's Day this Sunday. Make sure you'll love your mother this weekend. Give her...
Quickly speaking about women, and sorry, you can continue on with that. Give her a lot of love. Yeah,
right. Give her a lot of love, bro. What do you got?
Quickly speaking about women and Origin, here we are for a review of the women's Origin last week, which kickstarted Magic Round, which we actually didn't touch too much on. It kind of snuck up on me, but absolutely dominant performance there. And, you know, the Maroons did well to fight back that first half, but that Blues team just complete domination, right?
It was, you know, touching on this Blues squad that they're running out there with, you know, they've probably got two of the best centers in the competition. They've got obviously two of the best edge back rollers in the competition. Their forward pack's absolutely incredible. Jamie Chapman, obviously unreal. I thought, you know, we discussed Freshard. I thought she had an incredible performance as well. I think the Maroon side of things, you know, not to be like, obviously I'm loyal to family and rosy colored glasses, but I think we missed Varney over the weekend, Vania Politi.
100%.
I thought that she's locked down that edge of Jessica Surges, have that really good battle of those two. I think that edge kind of got like really dominated over the weekend with Surges, which is easy to believe. You got Jess Surges and Isabel Kelly, like incredible centers, but great work from the Maroon squad to kind of make it like a 14-12 halftime margin there. But the Blues, as soon as they get a roll on, they're a tough team to stop. You know, Shannon Marto missing, which, you know, your Blues forwards just continue to roll down the field. And, you know, shout out to Jessie Southwell as well. I thought she had the ball on a string.
She did. She absolutely had a killer game with her kicking game. Chris, are you talking about like a preseason girls game or something? Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. That's why I said, what do you, nobody cares. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
He's talking about the junior grades, bro. I think over the weekend, the Eels junior women's beat the Doggies junior women's. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, I'm so sad.
But coming into this week's State of Origin, this will be played at Allianz Stadium. I know the girls are trying to get a big turnout for this one. I think it was 40,000 the girls are trying to get to go here. Yeah, Chris, here we go. Tasha Gale and Lisa Fiola Cup. Guys, if you're able to check those out, the Doggies girls have been really dominant in that whole thing. Obviously, Parramatta have done fairly well there for themselves there too. But moving to the Blues women versus the Maroons women as well. Incredible performance here from the Blues in the last game. Do they back it up again against this Maroon squad? Do you see any changes with the Maroon squad that you're like, I don't see too many changes on the board here, but yeah, how do you think it's going to go?
I think the Queensland girls are missing too many, in my opinion. You know, like Avani, they're missing a couple others, but
Shannon Marto.
Yeah, yep. Jasmine Strange isn't playing. Yeah, they're just missing a few. And I'm not sure why that is. A lot of the reason for a lot of those players, but the Blues, we've seen this last year though. They killed Queensland game 1, and then the girls came back. Queensland girls came back. So, but I don't see that really happening this year.
No, I think that I'd obviously love to see our girls come out there and really fight. Like I thought we fought really hard last week, just being kind of just dominated against, you know, a better outfit. And majority of the time, the Blues women like squad is a great outfit from top to bottom. It's hard to really go up against that sort of squad. And then you got Maroon girls usually step up to the plate when it comes to Origin time, which is very similar to how Origin sort of like plays out year in, year out, right? I think the Blues will probably get us again here. I really do. I think that at the moment, without Varney, you know, we just don't have these big pointed differences on the field. That kind of opens up the game of the Taryn Aiken. You know, Ali Brigginshaw, she's starting to get a little bit long to the tooth. Hopefully we're saying that she's kind of gone to shut me up. She's not listening to this podcast, but shut me up and go for an absolute mental game this weekend. But she's starting to get long to the tooth right now. Tamika Upton needs a massive game here. And I think Varney kind of opens up the opportunities for those girls to really play their footy. But that's where we're kind of missing at the moment.
100%, brother. I agree.
Yeah. So shout out to the Blues women if they're going to go back-to-back here, but hopefully my Maroon girls make this a contest and we can go to a third game there for the Women's Origin, guys. And make sure you jump in and watch the Women's Origin, guys. If you can get tickets, go down there, get some tickets. It's great to see the women's game absolutely flourishing. I know there's a lot of Warriors fans in the chat. We get NRLW later on this year. New Zealand Warriors are in the game, and also the Doggies as well. So very, very excited to see the women's game this year. Sucks Varney's out for all year with the pregnancy. But, you know, shout out to her. Congratulations. And hope all goes well. But, yeah, women in the league, brother. Women in the league. Let's go.
Yeah, fucking keen, bro. Keen.
Almost just jumped over here. First game of the weekend, we got Parramatta versus...
Sorry. I got to butt in quickly. You didn't see the chat. But Jazzy has a quick question to finish off the Origin chats, brother. And I'll let you take this one.
Okay, Ash and Brody, sorry you couldn't speak more of why you would go Robson over RP taking away incumbency thing with Robson. Pretty pleased. For me, personally, I think RP Carousel is an incredible deceptive hooker in dummy half. Whether that translates more so into Origin at the moment, I think Robson's just got a real hard edge. I think defensively, Robson's really, really strong in the middle. And I think for Origin, that suits that area. He's got a beautiful momentum running game when everything gets going. That's what edges me for me over RP Coruscant. He's a little bit of a bigger body. RP's dealt with a couple of injuries this year. That's kind of held him out of action, even though Robson hasn't been incredible. But that's kind of how I see it. I think Robson's more suited to Origin style football for me. That's why I kind of have him over the top of RP right now. Even though when we go to NRL type of football, I kind of lean RP Coruscant as a little bit of the better hooker right now. I just think Robson's the better fit for the Blues.
Yeah, I agree. And just adding on that, I think that, you don't really want too much of a creative hooker in the Blues when you got Cleary and Moses that you really want to have the ball in hand. And I think Robson complements that a lot more, whereas Appy, he can be very creative out of dummy half, but that might take away from what the Blues game plan for me would and should be. And I don't really see them trying to lay on tries from dummy half, which is what Appy Coruscant is really good for. I think that it's more so to be a bit smarter to go the route of someone like Robson, who is better defensively, that bigger, stronger body, and the form that he's in, as opposed, like, Appy's not in bad form, but it does look like he's carrying a few injuries, and just trying to chip away. And it's probably no fault of his, but like the Tigers have unfortunately like screwed his chances of Origin since he's gone there. You know, he had everything going for him and he looked great at the Panthers, and it's kind of dialed back that little bit at the Tigers.
Yeah, 100%. For me, it's just more types in fights. Like certain things that just work a little bit better in Origin. So that's why I go Jose jumping back in the chat here as well. But also Jose with a nice question here. What time is the women's? What day is the women's game on? It's just showed here, guys. Thursday, the 15th of May, 7:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time in New Zealand. I think is 2 hours ahead. So that would be 9:45. So around 10 o'clock, you guys will see the game, which is your usual Thursday night game anyway, Jose. So make sure you jump in and obviously hopefully the women's game absolutely kills it over the weekend. So to back that up with again too, we got the Parramatta Eels versus the Dolphins at 7:50, which is actually the women's Origin game's next weekend. Sorry guys. So this weekend. Yeah. We got Thursday, 8th of May, 7:50 Parramatta Eels versus the Dolphins at CommBank Stadium. In this game, it does suck to see Jeremy Marshall-King succumbing to that laceration of his knee. It looks like a nasty one. So shout out to him. Hope he's doing well. Not too many changes that I can see here. Francis Molo, I'm pretty sure he started over the weekend. Kurt Donahue there in the number 9 jersey taking over of Marshall King's role. Sean O'Sullivan finding himself on the 17th man on the bench. So your thoughts on this game here, bro? You going Power or you going Dolphins?
Dolphins 30 plus. Nah, just kidding, Chris. I think Maxi Plaff's a big out, and so is Jeremy Marshall-King for the Dolphins. And I think the Eels weren't terrible. You know, they did a little bit slow start against the Sharks, but they did fight back well, and I think they'll get the job done this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to go Parramatta 1-12 in this one. I think this man here has done wonders for Parramatta coming back into that jersey. Madison will be brought in for Sam Ranney. Chris has come here, obviously a Parramatta fan in the chat, so do wait out for that one as well.
I don't know. I did see that
they're training Sam Ranney in the edge back row.
Yeah, I did see that story, so I think he might hold on to that spot.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, brother. But Parramatta 1-12 for me.
Same, brother. Same.
Yep, sweet. I think the Dolphins will be fairly desperate, coming off of the Magic Round performance.
100%, brother, 100%.
Moving over to the next game of the round, we got the Newcastle Knights versus the Gold Coast Titans at McDonald Jones Stadium. Obviously, Thomas Weaver is out due to that concussion, and with that, they bring in their man, Jaden Campbell, comes back off of injury. Does that sway your way to the Gold Coast Titans that have been on a bit of a skid for a while here, or do Newcastle continue their form that they've started off of last week, beating an understrength Rabbitohs side?
This one's a flip of the coin, to be honest, brother. Like, it just depends what team actually wants to show up and win.
Yeah.
I'm not liking what Desi's dishing up with the Titans, so I'm going to go the Knights 1-12. I'm not really liking what Adam O'Brien's dishing up either, but I just think that maybe now, Lucas has been back a couple of weeks. Brady Best played well on the weekend. Fletcher Sharp, Ponga, I think that they can build on that. So Knights 1-12.
I think the Knights would have this one circled from their last game that they had against the Titans. That was the start of their non-scoring sort of role. Like, they started off the season with 2 wins under their belt, and then the Gold Coast Titans ruined their start. Absolutely dominating them at Seabus. I think the Newcastle Knights want to prove themselves here if they've got anything in them. I'm going Newcastle 1-12 in a close contest because I think the Titans will be up for this one as well. Just trying to get so desperate footy at the moment because they're trying to get a win any way they can. And I thought they had some good moments with the Dogs, but also, some poor moments as well that they still have there. So that's why I can't go to the Titans way. I'm going Newcastle 1-12.
100%. Knights 1-12. Tino anytime try scoring.
Oh, I love to see it. It can go many different ways that game too, right? Moving over to the next game of the round, we got the Rabbitohs versus the Broncos at a core stadium. In this game, obviously, Mamazoulis was out last week due to injury. This week, sorry. And Thomas Fletcher is out as well. Latrell Mitchell comes back into that fullback jersey. Too many change. Jamie Humphries is back, brother. That's a really good sign there for the Rabbitohs. Harvili comes into that number 9 jersey. Keon Kolomatangi named in that number 10 jersey. He had his better moments in the middle, but would you think this is a late change? Is Jai Arrow been named here? No. Oh, no, Jai Arrow's there next to him. So, no, there probably won't be a change. He will be playing in the middle. Your thoughts on this game here, bro? You going Rabbitohs or Broncos bounce back after their embarrassing loss last week?
Yeah, look, I think the Broncos will bounce back, but I think it'll be closer than the odds are speaking. I think Latrell's going to have to really go after the game. Unfortunately, he might overplay his hand, but I'm going to go with the Broncos. Yeah, probably 13 plus tons. That's a good one. Wilson anytime try score as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Broncos 13 plus. I think they might blow this one out a little bit later. I think the Rabbitohs are still maybe a couple of key members back before they're going to be starting to find their way back again. But Wayne Bennett usually finds something too. So this one could go opposite ways as well, especially the troll back there. But I'm going to go Broncos 13 plus, a late sort of pull away from the Broncos for me.
Yeah, I think I have to as well, brother.
Yep, sweet. Next one up, we got the Raiders versus your doggies here, brother, at GIO Stadium at Canberra. We all know the news. No Jacob Preston, obviously due to the suspension, but we do get Matt Burton back. No Josh Curran from memory. No Josh Curran just yet.
3 weeks suspension, brother.
Yeah, so that sucks to see. But the Raiders pretty much coming in this one, top to bottom. Corey Horsburgh is still a wait to whatever happens there. He should be out for HIA, but we'll have to wait there. Obviously, on the reserves, they are carrying someone like Trey Mooney that can fill in that role. How are you feeling in this game, bro? Do you think you can get it done at GIO at Canberra?
Look, I'm not feeling as confident with this one. Preston's been great for us all year. I think it's going to be a reshuffle of Jamin Salmon to our back row on the edge, which means he's going to have to play big minutes, and Bailey Haywood will go to lock, which means we're also going to be a little bit smaller, and the Raiders have a big pack. Unless Kurt Mann starts, but I like his impact off the bench. I don't know who then we'll bring up into our reserves. Maybe like a Hipboy, Lipboy, whatever his name is.
Hipboy, yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to say that would get this one, but I am going to lean towards the Raiders 1-12.
I'm going to go your boys 1-12 in this one. I think this is a swing game, isn't like a 1-12 coast contest. I think this can go either way. And with that, like, I think the Raiders are flying really high at the moment. I've seen the Raiders take a step back at times when they get tested. I think the Doggies are good enough as a system to test them. I know there's a little bit of the worry that, when the Dogs come up against our really powerful forward backs, not just a normal forward back, and you got Joseph Tarpany or something like that, that can kind of punch through that first impact of the quick line speed. But I've seen you do it against Adam Fanua-Blake and the Sharkies as well. So I know the Raiders are playing a little bit more consistent at the moment, but I'm going to go your Dogs 1-12. I think you can ruin the party of the Raiders at Canberra. I think the Raiders have been flying high for a little bit now, and just the way that form's going, I think the Doggies won't be impressed of how they performed last week, even over a dominant victory, and they'll want to prove that they're back in this one for me. So I'm going to go to Dogs 1-12.
Yeah, look, I can see it, but I'll be a lot more confident if Preston was in.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible game, though, because both these teams love the grind. I'm really excited to see how this one plays out.
100%, brother.
Moving over to, we got back-to-back games here, brother. We got my New Zealand Warriors versus the Dragons at Wynn Stadium. With our boys, Ed Gossie out with from what I heard, a collarbone injury, even though it's come up as a chest injury in our team list sort of reveal. And Rocco Berry obviously out with a hamstring injury. He is not back till round 14 from what I saw on New Zealand Warriors website. But Dallin Watene-Zelezniak gets his wing role. And for the Dragons, shout out to Loco Pacific Tonga getting into that 17 jersey, bro. Big bit of gear, really incredible. The young player coming through the grade for the Dragons. So I'm very excited to see how he goes in first grade. And shout out to Sam Healy, he's locking in that 14 jersey. Where are you going in this contest here? I feel like this one is a tough one for us in a sense.
Yeah, it is, but I can't back the Dragons on the form they're in, so I'm going to roll with your boys 1-12.
Yeah, I'm going our boys 1-12. As I kind of touched on before, this game has the Win Stadium, we struggle at Win Stadium. The Dragons have been a team for us the last couple of years that, have good moments against us. But if we are good enough, I think we can go down there and we can choke them out of a contest. A couple of errors in it. So I'm going Warriors 1-12, but this one, we've been flying high for a little bit. It could go the opposite way as well.
100%. Every team's due for a loss.
Yeah, and the way the competition is going at the moment, it's usually those form guides. It's just the way you kind of read them these days, right?
100%.
All right, moving over to the Cowboys versus the Penrith Panthers at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. No Ruben Cotter for this game for the Cowboys. Maverick Guy falls out of the lineup for the Penrith Panthers, but we see our boy Patea hold on to that jersey there. Thomas Jenkins is in at 17. No Scotty Sorensen, as you asked before, brother. Isaiah Papali'i stays in that edge back row role. Who are you going here? Thomas Kelly, obviously on the bench here for the Cowboys too. Who are you going in this contest here? Do you think the Cowboys will want to bounce back, or do you think the Panthers, they're kick-started their season right now?
Yeah, well, Brian Toto's in as well. I don't think Jenkins will hold that spot. Who else has they got in their reserves? They're the Panthers.
They have Luke Summerton, Matt Eisenhoof, Casey McLean, Dane Laurie, and Trent Tolau.
I reckon we'll see Eisenhoof come in for Jenkins.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think they run with Snyder and Jenkins on the bench. That's pretty weird for me, if you ask me. But Lindsay Smith can play big minutes, so maybe. I'm going to go with the Panthers. I think Toto back just strengthens them a lot. And Cotter out is a big loss for the Cowboys. So, yeah, I'm going to go Panthers, and I'll go 1-12.
I'm surprised. I'm going to go the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys can get this one done. The Cowboys have always had really great games against the Penrith Panthers. Their system usually works well against Panthers football for some reason. Like we've seen it obviously against our type of system over the weekend, where as soon as they get hot, they're really tough to beat. And if they start fast, I think Penrith have been shocked at moments this season, behind the eight ball, and they've done it before. I think when they've had a taste, they can do it again. So I'm going to go to Cowboys. I'm going to go 13+. I think this can grow a lead there too. Yeah, I really do. I think the Panthers had an incredible performance last week, but I think they just got really high, emotional. They were in that contest, and I wouldn't be surprised too. I did want to touch on this. Dylan Edwards did look like he had a little bit of a niggling injury in that last game. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Dane Laurie comes into this game as well, if they will rest Dylan Edwards. So just wait and see on that one, because I think that is a key piece here for this game.
I don't think they're going to be resting, brother. They need to win every game.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair. I just think that if he's got a hamstring injury, maybe it's going to be a late change.
Maybe.
Moving over the first game on a Sunday, we got Melbourne Storm versus the West Tigers. This is at Amy Park in Melbourne. Day game, Storm, afternoon game. Melbourne Storm is always the go here. Not too many changes overall, brother. Storm 13+.
20+.
Yeah, I can see this. Melbourne on a dry track after a loss.
Yeah, after a loss. Scary.
I'm sorry, Tigers fans, but yeah, Melbourne by a decent margin.
100%.
Last game of the round, we got Manly Seagulls versus the Sharkies at 4 Pines. We have Tom Trbojevic still holding on to that jersey there too, obviously coming back last week. And with the Sharkies, Siva Talakai out due to the head knock over the weekend. Shout out to Siv, hopefully he's doing okay. He caught the hip of, who was it over the weekend? Anyway, continuing to move on. But who have you got in this contest here, bro? Do you think the Sharks, after the Eels win, they bounce back into form? Or do you think the Seagulls here at 4 Pines, as they always are, Tommy Turbo, are they going to be too tough to beat?
Manly 1-12, Turbo anytime.
Ooh, yes. I like that. I was trying to think of scoreline here, because I'm going to go Manly 1-12 right now. It has the potential for late in this game to go a 13+.
I agree as well.
All right. That is all your games for the weekend too, guys. Anything more you want to touch on before we jump off, my brother?
That is all for me tonight, brother.
I think that's all for all of us. Massive show tonight, guys. Thank you so much for all tuning in as well. Sorry we did go over a little bit of time there, but we do love a little bit of footy chat overall and State of Origin chat. It's never too early to talk about State of Origin. I think it's the perfect time to start talking about State of Origin.
100%. We want to get in before everybody else gets in, so...
100%, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoy the weekend as well. Thank you so much, guys. Tune in tomorrow night for our Supercoach show as well, guys. It is going back to the Thursday. We're going to try that again. But yeah, make sure you tune in tomorrow night for trades, Supercoach chat. and hope you all enjoyed your weekend. Take it easy, guys.
See us.